You mentally prepare yourself to declare your love to that special person. However, when you do, the person thinks you're just saying, "I love you" because you're childhood friends and almost like family. Besides, all this time, they thought you were a boy when, in reality, you're a girl? The anime begins with our awesome protagonist Tomo. Yeah, she's a really awesome waifu, but let me give you some context. It turns out that Tomo has been training in karate with her best childhood friend Jun since she was very young. Since they were kids, he always treated her like a boy because she's quite tough. He didn't even realize she was a girl until he saw her in high school wearing a skirt. The thing is, the guy gives her the typical beatings that friends give each other, but sometimes he goes too far and ends up giving her a playful spank, which, in a way, excites her but also angers her because he doesn't see her as a delicate woman. Desperate to make the guy see her as a woman, Tomo runs to ask Mizusu, her other childhood friend, what she should do. There, Mizusu tells her that it's her fault for being so tough and acting like a boy. Also, when she invited Tomo to play girly things, she always rejected her. And her roughness is so intense that it scares off the boys. Anyway, while they're having lunch, Mizusu comes up with the idea that the three of them should have lunch together. But the problem here is that Mizusu and Jun don't get along at all, even though they've known each other since they were kids. Every time they played and got into trouble, Mizusu disappeared like a ninja and the blame fell on the most foolish. As Jun keeps doing things to Tomo that make them seem like a couple, he comes to ask her how far they've gone, leading to a little confusion. Jun mentions they've done intense exercises together, but while one thinks it's something romantic, the other remembers the fights they've had in the dojo. Hearing this, Mizusu rushes to tell Tomo what the idiot Jun said so the waifu can confront him. Mizusu also tells Tanabe that it was all a misunderstanding and not to get too excited about trying to get those two together because the only one who can mess around with them is her. Suddenly, it starts pouring rain and Jun realizes he didn't bring his umbrella. Mizusu is in the same situation, and while both wait to see who will save them, the waifu asks the protagonist what would happen if he saw Tomo with a boyfriend and left him aside, leaving him silent and with a grim face. Just then, Tomo appears and, thinking she should share the umbrella with the guy she likes, gets flustered. Mizusu practically forces her to go with him. However, Tomo tries to keep a bit of distance from Jun to not be too close, but she ends up getting wet along the way. The guy approaches her to prevent her from getting wet and she runs away. Jun chases her, and when he finds her, he sees that her clothes are very transparent, highlighting her ample chest. This is the first time he sees her as a girl and he ends up running away. But there's a new potential rival for Jun because Misaki, the captain of the karate club, wants to date Tomo because he sees a great feminine charm in her. The problem here is that some girls interested in the blonde guy get angry and want to beat up Tomo, but when they try to intimidate her, they end up being the ones beaten up. Although the girls clarify that they just want to go out with Misaki, Tomo gets excited because she thinks they will ask her for love advice, so she promises to help them conquer the blonde guy. As they ride the bus calmly, Tomo decides to stand because her heart races a mile a minute when she's close to Jun. Suddenly, a lecherous old man tries to grope our protagonist, and Jun notices, grabbing the man by the neck and throwing him off the bus, taking him to the police station for his inappropriate behavior. This makes Tomo think that Jun might be starting to see her as a girl. However, he upsets her by suggesting she shouldn't wear skirts because they don't suit her, adding that it would be better for her to wear pants to avoid such issues. As a result, they end up in a physical altercation and an upset Tomo goes to spill everything to Mizusu, who had been concerned for a moment, thinking the old man had gone too far. Although it must be admitted that Tomo allowed it to happen to see Jun's reaction. Anyway, Mizusu tells Tomo that Jun is right and skirts don't suit her much. Moreover, if she wears a very short skirt, it's obvious that perverts might try to take advantage. Also, if she wears a skirt, she should have something underneath, where Mizusu shows her that she's wearing nothing under her skirt except her panties. With that in mind, Tomo decides to remove the shorts she's wearing underneath and waits for Jun to leave together. When Jun finds her and sees that she's quite daring, showing off more than usual, he's shocked but acts tough, deciding to ignore that sensuality. Tomo realizes he's acting strangely because Jun avoids looking at her, but she's oblivious to the fact that he's watching out for anyone with lecherous eyes, basically protecting her. At the end of the day, a strong breeze lifts her skirt and Jun catches a glimpse, leaving him in awe, seeing a paradise with a bright glow. Although, well, the poor girl ends up fainting. The next morning, a new foreign student arrives at the school. Her name is Carol, an idol-type waifu with tremendous attributes that make all the guys in the place go crazy for her. Tomo, casually wandering around, bumps into Misaki, who was giving Carol a tour. Apparently, this lady is Misaki's fiancée and childhood friend. The thing is, the blonde is somewhat foolish but also cunning, as she realizes that Misaki is interested in Tomo's melons. This makes Carol jealous, and she sees Tomo as a rival, calling her baka idiot every second she meets her. Seriously, she walks like a robot. As Carol wanted to know Tomo's weak spot, she went to ask Mizusu, who easily spilled the beans for a simple cake, revealing to Carol that our busted girl's weak spot is June. With friends like these, who needs enemies? Carol starts her attack and asks June to train her, claiming she wants to surpass someone. So there she is, attempting to get closer until Tomo realizes this blonde is after her beloved June. As expected, our awesome girl gets angry and confronts June, where Carol realizes it's impossible to defeat Tomo and that Tomo actually wants June, not Misaki. So, at that moment, the blonde decides to befriend her. Sometime later, she talks to Tomo and, very shyly, asks her that question, but why so shy? Turns out she's been trying to make friends since she was young, but everyone rejects her, maybe because she's foolish and rich. Anyway, Tomo doesn't mind and accepts her as a friend. Everyone was happy until June blurts out a big secret he used to date Mizusu. Wait, what? Well, you see, according to what Mizusa tells us, the guy was tiny, not just kidding. It turns out June approached her and asked her out. Mizusu accepted not because she liked him, but because she wanted to be the envy of all the other girls. The guy had lots of fans who wanted to dance the Macarena for him. But Mizusu only lasted 3 days with the guy because their dates were too extreme. He simply liked riding a bike for over 40 kilometers, basically training for the Olympics. So, when Mizusu went there all disheveled to break up, June ended it first because he felt they didn't fit well together. Because of that, the waifu hates him because she wanted to use him to make others jealous, and in the end, she was the one who looked bad. But wait, when June decided to date the crazy girl, during that time for some reason, he didn't speak to Tomo. When he broke up with her, he started talking to Tomo again, something mysterious that might be revealed later on. Tomo, knowing all this and that those crazy ones don't like each other and just hate each other's guts, stays calm. But the next day, Misaki meets June, who, well, gives her a good smack at first, but thanks to Tomo and the punches she gives June, the guy shows up with better manners, although he challenges her to a bare-knuckle karate duel. Scared Misaki wants nothing to do with Tomo's friend, but to her bad luck, they both take the same bus. So, inevitably, she starts a conversation with June, where she finds out that June admires Tomo a lot and he believes he can only beat Tomo in an unrestricted fight but could never win against her in a sports match. At that moment, she finds out that Tomo is in the boys' club because she had a slight problem and beat the girls in the karate club. But well, June makes the blondie promise not to tell Tomo anything or else he'll leave them as toxic waste for disposal. Anyway, later on, Mizusa goes out for tea with Tomo and asks her why she's not dating June anymore since they used to cuddle all the time. Tomo reveals that it's because of embarrassment. Mizusa tells her to swallow that embarrassment because she's forced to go on a date with June. So, once the waifu invites him and he gladly accepts, Carol and Mizusa take Tomo to buy some really cool clothes. After trying on clothes for a while and analyzing them, they come to the conclusion that she should wear feminine sportswear or something very casual. When June sees her in the outfit for the first time, his initial reaction is, well, who's hungry? The guy doesn't even give her a compliment or anything. They end up doing things they used to do before, playing baseball and going bowling, but suddenly, boom, they're at the karaoke. There, Tomo starts singing children's songs and June takes the opportunity to record her. Later, when they're at school and he watches the video, he notices that the waifu looks much more feminine than usual. Keep an eye on that, it's slowly starting to work. In a change of scene, we see that Tanabe is head over heels for Mizusu, but with her cold looks and attitude, she consistently leaves him in the friend zone. Well, not even that, she doesn't want anything to do with him. The thing is, he wants to see her smile and starts asking her close friends for ways to make her smile. The catch is that Mizusu only smiles when she sees others' misfortunes, and she tells Tanabe that he'll only see her smile when she rejects him. Now, back to Tomo, she notices how other girls are feminine in the sense of being playful with their friends. The waifu suggests giving Mizusu a good cuddle, but she rejects it. So, she has no choice but to ask Carol for the same thing. Carol kindly accepts the cuddle and gives her a tight squeeze with her tremendous bust, making even Tomo question her gender, but well, the thing is that Tomo starts hugging random girls, which makes Mizusa jealous because she didn't do that with her. but who the heck understands her? When Tomo finds out, she comforts Mizusu with a good cuddle and thinks she should do the same with June. After all, the guy has always given her unexpected hugs as a sign of friendship. However, when Tomo tries to do the same, she ends up being unexpectedly pushed away by June, first because he was startled and second because only he can do that. But anyway, the next morning, June enters Tomo's room to wake her up, where the waifu gives him a few smacks for entering without warning, as he wouldn't know if she's sleeping clothed or not. Then the guy eats breakfast that Tomo prepared for him to have good energy. There we meet Tomo's mother, a strong woman just like her daughter, who's upset because her husband is always in the dojo and faints every time he sees her, although he always protects her if anything or anyone threatens her. The same thing happens with June and Tomo because Tomo's friends had a problem with a troublemaker who was after one of them. Despite the waifu rejecting him, the guy kept following her. Tomo threatens him and gives him a few smacks, so in an act of revenge, he gathers some guys to beat them up. However, as they were planning it in broad daylight where everyone could hear, June unfortunately overhears this and decides to give them a massive beating, which leads the troublemakers to apologize to Tomo. Tomo still suspects something must have happened because as they walk back home with June, she notices a bruise on him, which he claims happened from a fall, but coincidentally, he's had bruises like that since middle school. Love people. The guy protects her from the shadows, he's Batman. Carol, feeling very affectionate and wanting to be closer friends with Mizusu and Tomo, invites them to her house. She even makes a detailed map of her home. Once they arrive, they find themselves facing a huge door as if it were a mansion. At the entrance, they meet Carol's mother, an English woman who is also a bit clueless, basically an older version of Carol. Upon arriving at the house, they receive Carol's affection and start playing games, where they realize that Carol is amazing at board games. After spending a good while, they remember that exams are approaching, so they agree with Mizusu to study at her humble home, well, more humble than Carol's, but still a tremendous house. There, they meet the crazy girl's mother, who is practically identical to her daughter, and neither of them is particularly fond of Carol, but they still accept her in their home. While studying, they realize that Carol is a genius. She solves complex calculations without going through the steps, simply seeing numbers as little animals and solving everything in the blink of an eye. So much so that she ranks number 1 in the exams, putting Mizusu in second place. But thanks to these two pros, Tomo was able to improve her grades and end up in a better position. Anyway, after the exam, June invites Tomo to spend the night at his house. Just the two of them alone, but no, they won't be up to anything naughty. On the contrary, they're supposedly going to spend the night playing some good old FIFA. Tomo arrives at the house and finds out that June's mother isn't there, which almost gives her a heart attack, but the waifu relaxes and takes a nice shower, showcasing her ample chest. Then there's a great tension in the air because June knows she's right on the other side of the wall, all naked. Anyway, they start playing video games and end up losing to sleep. By 10 p.m., they're getting ready to go to bed. For some reason, Tomo gathers the courage to say she likes him and all that, but when she looks, the guy is already asleep. Out of curiosity to touch his face, June ends up hugging her as if she were a pillow, and in the end, they both fall asleep cuddling all night long. Something they can't forget, as when June wakes up, he sees her right there beside him and, out of shock, accidentally hits her. When Tomo returns home, she realizes she went from the bed to the futon, and this makes both of them blush like crazy every day in class. Where Carol and the crazy girl know something juicy happened that night. Tomo's birthday arrives and June gives her a pair of super cool glasses as a gift while also going around telling everyone that she's now the eldest of the group. Beware, she's 16 people and she's more badass than many present there. Mizusa gifts her books and Carol, well, she brings a gold ingot. Wish we all had a friend who's both wealthy and generous, kidding. The thing is, Mizusa plans a radical makeover for Tomo's house and with Carol's help, they get down to work. Later, Tomo-chan is totally transformed, but her dear friends, always up for teasing her, ask her to go buy ice cream in her new look. They drag her out, lock the door, and when she goes to the convenience store, she bumps into June. But hold on, he doesn't recognize her at first. Yet, when the waifu trips, he helps her up like a true gentleman. With a delicate voice, Tomo asks to spend time together, and they end up watching a kid's soccer game where, by fate's whimsy, there's a girl and a boy getting along famously. At that moment, June starts expressing himself, talking about a friend whose relationship's uncertain, but for now, he just wants to defeat her. Suddenly, Tomo remembers the ice creams that have likely turned into a melted mess. So there she goes, running back home only to find a surprise birthday celebration waiting for her. Days pass and a school dodgeball tournament arrives. The problem for Tomo is she's so fierce that she ends up putting the girls into a coma, thus she ends up in the boys' tournament. In the team she's on, June is also present, and these two are the star players, easily defeating any team. They reach the final and face a guy they call the Gorilla, the judo club captain, who tells them that if he wins, June has to join the judo club. The game begins and the gorilla eliminates the bugs around him. He feels that Tomo is just a girl who shouldn't be there, so he throws a massive shot that June takes for her, sacrificing himself. This angers the waifu and suddenly she's got tremendous throwing power, but despite the ball going strong, it ends up being too silly a move to eliminate the guy in the stupidest way possible. Our protagonist's class wins and everything seems fine. Later, June ends up having a relaxed brawl with the gorilla where he tells June that he shouldn't waste his talent if he never participates in tournaments. Turns out June only trains and gets stronger to defeat his waifu, who is his ultimate goal and rival. Out of nowhere, we get a flashback to the past, seeing how this trio met. Turns out June moved from Tokyo to this humbler town where Tomo lived. On the first day, the waifu started socializing with him, but she had some trouble by accidentally breaking his video game console. Over time, they became friends, and June introduced Tomo to the annoying Misuzu, who initially clashed with poor June. However, he did everything possible to keep up with Tomo. Months passed, he became more athletic and resilient, but one day, some thugs beat him up and took away his console. When he met Tomo and Misuzu, the latter was annoying him as usual, but for the first time, he laughed at her comments. Tomo sensed something was wrong, so somehow she found the thugs and defeated them, returning the console to June. He didn't accept it because he felt weak, but he promised that once he became strong enough, he would defeat her and get his console back. But okay, enough of the flashbacks because now it's time for the good stuff, fan service moment, folks. Tomo had the idea to go to the beach with Carol, the busty one, and Misuzu, the flat one, although Misuzu actually went because she wanted to see the panic on June's face at Tomo's scheme. They arrive at the beach, change into their bikinis, and well, as usual, the blonde wins with her ample front, leaving the protagonist shocked by her immense beauty. This makes June somewhat distant from the busty ones and spends time with Misuzu because, well, she doesn't have something as attractive to stir the imagination. The thing is, Tomo is aggressively attacking without realizing it, sticking close to the protagonist just because she's having fun. Later, a strange blonde guy appears out of nowhere to tell Tomo she has a tremendous front. The waifu is delighted because it's the first time she's been called pretty. Then, June appears because the guy was trying to be too forward with his waifu. The guy asks if he's her boyfriend, to which June responds negatively, both exciting and disappointing Tomo because June saves Carol from a group of guys harassing her, who asked him the same question and he didn't care about their opinions. Tomo quickly gets depressed, but her best friend tells her to rest her scheme on the protagonist. So there we see Tomo being very feminine, eating ice cream with him until she spills some and well, she does something pretty hot with her mouth. Gotta admit, this guy resists a lot. As a result of all this, Misuzu realizes that June now sees Tomo as a girl. In a change of scene, the girls have a pajama party where they do challenges. Misuzu, being mischievous, challenges Tomo to go with June to watch the fireworks, just the two of them. Tomo accepts, goes to the guy's house, and invites him. He agrees quickly, but with a different attitude because lately he's been feeling something strange for Tomo. But once they go to bed, Misuzu starts thinking she might have been wrong in telling Tomo to be more feminine. She's afraid their relationship might change if these two wild ones become a couple. But well, the festival day arrives. Carol invites Misuzu so she won't be alone, and Tomo appears radiant like the sun in front of June, leaving him bewildered. Even the festival vendors are impressed by how feminine Tomo looks, as she was known as a festival beast, always winning all the prizes, something she still does but more humbly now. June just kept stealing glances at Tomo, genuinely loving how she was dressed but not daring to give compliments. In a small distraction, Tomo is left alone and some thugs try to harass her, but once again, June saves her. She responds with a very tender thank you, but June, being a fool, messes up by saying that he always intervenes knowing she can handle it alone. That infuriates her and she punches him because despite being strong, there will always be moments when she needs help because she's a lady. Anyway, they both go to a nice spot alone to watch the fireworks, and there, Tomo thinks it might be a good moment to confess for the second time. However, she decides it's not the right time yet and lets that opportunity pass. At the same time, June thinks there's a chance that his first "I love you" might have been in that sense, but well, he simply enjoys how radiant she is. Vacation ends, classes begin, everything was going fine until the school bullies want to take down our super tough Tomo. Since they can't confront her directly, they target a hostage, obviously Misuzu. However, when they try to corner her, they are cruelly intimidated by Tomo, who gives them a killer look. Carol arrives in her cute style to join the chaos, and she uses a teaser and electrocutes the gang's leader. Both girls run, and Carol ends up soaked in water due to her own mistake. They hide in an abandoned warehouse where Misuzu calls June to save her but asks him not to tell Tomo. Tomo, seeing June angry, knows something's up, and Misaki, passing by, overhears their conversation and decides to follow them. They reach the warehouse and start fighting immediately. The situation was under control until Misaki goes berserk because she sees Carol without clothes. Due to a misunderstanding, Misaki thinks they assaulted her and decides to take them all down, but thanks to Carol, she calms down. And the thugs stop pursuing them because Misuzu threatened them by saying that Tomo's father is the leader of one of the most dangerous dojos in the neighborhood. Suddenly, we're thrown into Misaki's past. Turns out he used to be a loner who liked to read and didn't want friends until he met his cousin, Carol. From that moment on, he fell in love with her. They spent their days together playing, and due to this, he wanted to become stronger. He enrolled in the Aizawa dojo to toughen up. Tomo's father, upon seeing him, recognized a hidden beast within. Training began, and Misaki struggled to endure, but during combat, he managed to scratch Jun's face. Awakening in Tomo's room after the beating he received, Tomo asks him why he wants to become stronger. He shares his reasons, and Tomo motivates him to keep training. While walking with his beautiful blonde cousin, he tells her about training with Tomo, which quickly makes her jealous. Angry, she decides to get back at June. She asks him to go to the park, but suddenly, boom, they're in the guy's room. There, the blonde gets flirty, kisses him on the cheek, pushes him onto the bed, and, well, tries to make a move. Wait, is that a soccer poster with SIU? Oh no, it's another player, never mind. The blonde wanted to help June get over his fear of Busta girls, but he pushes her away, rushes to Tomo's house to apologize for what happened. Luckily, Tomo never found out about that incident. So, after the devious blonde leaves, she meets up the next day with Misuzu. There, Tomo tells the mischievous blonde that she'll help her become a couple with Misaki. Misuzu, straightforward as ever, asks Misaki what he truly feels for Carol. He confesses that he loves Carol and wants to be with her but fears being weak and unable to protect her. However, Misuzu, being mischievous, tells Carol that Misaki doesn't love her and doesn't see her as a woman. This angers Carol and she goes home, where Misuzu is surprised by the intensity of Carol's reaction. When Misaki finds out, he goes to Carol's place and gets scolded by her mother. In her room, Carol is angry and crying, but Misaki tells her that it was all a lie from Misuzu and that she helped him find the courage to confess his love. Upon hearing this, Carol gets emotional because they both love each other and they become a couple. The next day, Carol appears in assassin mode to confront Misuzu, which catches her off guard. Carol gives her a little kiss as a thank you for helping her. The school holds a kind of school marathon, and June and Tomo make bets on who will win. These two beasts run so fast that they even catch up with the teacher's motorcycle effortlessly. However, while racing at full speed, Tomo collapses with a high fever. Turns out, the previous night she had been running and then took a shower, falling asleep in the bathroom without any clothes. June finishes the race with her on his back and takes her to the infirmary. Misuzu, worried, takes care of Tomo because it's rare for her to fall ill. Misuzu takes Carol away so that Tomo can be alone with June and be pampered a bit. But since Tomo's mother would pick her up in a taxi, Tomo asks June to carry her to the car. Later, June visits Tomo at her house, where she's already back to 100%. However, her mother still doesn't let her leave just in case she falls ill again. There, Tomo gives June the video game console, admitting that he's stronger than her. With June surpassing her now, he starts thinking of ways for the two of them to stay together. After a few days, there's another flashback to when June was in middle school. When he found out Tomo was a girl, he worried they'd be mistaken for a couple. But when he heard Tomo say they'd never be a couple because he didn't see her as a girl, it broke his heart. He stopped talking to her for over a year. He wondered how he would treat her now that she's a woman, just as Misuzu wondered about their friendship since Tomo was very athletic and she wasn't, thinking they might not be friends in the future. So, June and Misuzu had a plan. Jun's idea was that if he got a girlfriend, he'd spend more time with Tomo, and a logical idea because it would push them apart more. And Misuzu's idea was to find someone who could control her. But in the end, things turned out as we knew they would. Those two broke up, but when Misuzu talked to Tomo in the schoolyard, she realized her friend loves her just as she is, and that it doesn't matter if she's not athletic, she wants to continue spending a lot of time together. Jun tries to apologize to Tomo for distancing himself, but initially she beats him up because she didn't know the reason why he didn't want to be close. He tells her it was because others thought they were a couple and blah blah blah, but Tomo tells him she doesn't care what others think. They become friends again and promise to be together forever. Although every time Jun looks at Tomo, he realizes she's an incredible beauty. Now he's definitely smitten. Well, Jun's birthday is just around the corner, so Tomo thinks it's best to look for a temporary job to earn some money for buying a little gift. The catch was finding the ideal job, but Misuzu, being very concerned about her friend despite not showing it, tells her she'll accompany her to work, where Carol also joins. Then Tanabe overhears their conversation and tells the girls to relax because he already has a job for them. Turns out the guy has a family food business. Once they're there, they realize that help is needed because the fat man's wife went on a trip to visit her family. Tanabe, being super smart, buys maid outfits for the girls, although Misuzu doesn't wear any outfit and gets quite comfortable. The weirdest thing is that here, Misuzu treats people very kindly. Basically, she changes personalities from one moment to another. Each of them takes on their roles. Misuzu greets customers and takes payments, Tomo handles delivering orders, and Carol is the mascot. But watch out for Carol because her beauty attracts a ton of customers. But to Tomo's surprise, Jun appears at that place. It turns out it's his favorite spot to eat ramen once a week. When Tomo serves him and hands him his ramen, he gives her the green light to tease her, to which he responds, "Why should I tease you when you look divine?" As Tomo has no clue what he meant by that, she asks Carol, who translates that it means she looks good. As the workdays come to an end, they receive their pay and an extra bonus, seemingly persuaded by the mischief of these two. So now Tomo has the money to buy the protagonist's gift, which happens to be a watch matching her own. Although she ends up disappointed because the guy thinks of them as a team and not a couple. This guy is really clueless, but wait, when Tomo suggests eating cake at his place, he says it's better at her house because his mother isn't there, which makes Tomo realize that he now sees her as a woman. Anyway, as Tomo wanted more physical contact with the protagonist, Misuzu suggests she should unexpectedly touch his hand. How? Well, they waited for Jun to pass by the stairs and boom, Misuzu pushes him so he falls on Tomo, but the guy pulls off a tremendous dodge in the air and his hand ends up on Carol's hand instead. Because of all this chaos, Misuzu feels bad because her crazy ideas only make Jun and Tomo drift further apart. Then karma hits her and she ends up slipping down the stairs, where Tanabe saves her. At that moment, her submissive attitude surfaces and she thanks Tanabe for helping her and even gives him her phone number. Then Misuzu supposedly gets sick and misses school for 3 days because she doesn't want to face Tomo, but Tomo arrives at her house through the window and confronts her. However, the waifu keeps playing dumb, so Tomo just leaves and leaves her the script of a play where she'll play Cinderella, which angers her a lot and makes her go to school wearing a mask, eager to kill the blonde who chose that role for her. The school festival arrives where the three moms meet and become friends again, just like their daughters. The play goes wonderfully and Misuzu and Tomo become friends once more. Meanwhile, Jun and Tomo wander around to enjoy the cultural festival, and when it's time for the bonfire dance, these two crazies start dancing, where Jun, with some serious guts, hints to Tomo that he likes her. Tomo gets scared and doesn't know what the heck just happened, so she runs off. As a result, Tomo starts acting differently, more energetic with Jun, but every time the bonfire topic comes up, she bolts. Since Jun doesn't know what to do, he seeks advice from Misaki, who tells him, "Look, buddy, she's into you, go and confess, because if you don't do it today, you'll never do it." Jun, being a strategic thinker, leaves a letter for Tomo saying that they're going to throw down on the rooftop, but of course, without revealing it was him. Tomo arrives all energized and ends up bumping into Jun, who declares his love for her and asks her to hit him because he knew she had feelings for him from the start, but he was too stupid to admit he loved her too. Tomo gets mad and punches him because she put in so much effort to make him see her as a woman, telling him he's an idiot and a stubborn mule, and well, she leaves him alone. Later, she complains to her friends that she missed that opportunity by rejecting him. That's when Misuzu starts crying because, before Jun confessed to Tomo, he talked to her and apologized because he didn't want to take that step with Tomo since, well, they were friends and he and Misuzu had a history. That made Misuzu realize she was the obstacle between them. So Misuzu tells her to go after her man and confess again because they'll still be best friends. Tomo awkwardly goes to where Jun is, they walk together, flirt, confess their love, but Jun tells her that he wants her as a girlfriend, best friend, and as his rival, where Tomo accepts Jun's idea and they become both a couple and rivals. Tomo goes back to class to meet up with her friends for lunch, and they suggest she should spend Christmas with the main character to take advantage of the occasion and share a big kiss. Tomo thinks it's a great idea and gets all dolled up for their date, which is at the movies watching a romance film. During the movie, she plans to hold his hand to let whatever happen. But the movie gets steamy and she can't make a move at that moment. Later, they exchange some beautiful gifts, and as they're about to head back home, they end up in the main character's room. Tomo intends to kiss him. She tries to be delicate, but her competitive side emerges and she insists on kissing him. The main character quickly gets excited because he finds her stunning. However, he tells her they're not officially dating due to an issue. Tomo's father told him he can't date his daughter unless he beats him in a fight. This infuriates Tomo and she confronts her father, expressing her anger. After that, Tomo locks herself in her room, refusing to see anyone and feeling upset with Jun for keeping her father's secret from her. But Jun doesn't beat around the bush and tells her he'll defeat her father today. He goes to confront him. At that moment, Misaki tells Tomo she should go support the main character because she's his pillar to keep moving forward and become stronger. Jun is exchanging blows with the father, who doesn't even break a sweat. Tomo arrives to cheer him on. The main character realizes that her father wants him to become stronger because Tomo is a wild spirit who defends the weak, yet no one is there to defend her when she's in danger. He also notices that her father is intentionally leaving himself open to certain attacks, so he takes advantage of this and lands a tremendous blow, making the father nearly touch the ground, winning the battle. The father accepts Jun as a member of the family, and now these two can finally be a couple. Since Jun confessed his feelings first before Tomo, she, as an act of revenge, gives him a huge kiss and promises to be the more tender one between them. Now they are rivals in love. What a great story, people. If you want more epic anime, comment the word romance and also tell me your favorite part of the series. And with that, I'll look for another similar anime that might interest you.